All right, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Ba'Hashem, Yahushua, Ba'Hashem, Kwadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops at Great Millstone. I'm your brother, Rabbi Nab, coming out with a lesson. Lord's will, this is edifying to the Lord's elect. I found this online by Unka. It says Machado has previously pledged to move Venezuela's embassy in Israel to Jerusalem to get support from U.S. She's figured out where the power lies. Let's watch.
Miss Machado, she's the lady that just won the Nobel Peace Prize, and she's from Venezuela. And she said, if we're liberated by the U.S. Armed Forces and they remove Maduro, our first act will be to move the Venezuelan embassy to Jerusalem.
What does that have to do with... I'm completely confused. Like, what?
Well, you can't be that confused. I think she's hit on something very important. She's figured out where the power lies, and she's playing to the audience that makes the decisions.
So there you go. She figured out where the power lies, man. So she understands that there's people in power. She's playing to the audience. She wants to give your nation over to your embassy over to Israel, right? Job 9:24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, wherein who is he? So Esau is the wicked according to Malachi 1:4. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord have indignation forever. So she's just trying to sell you out to the damn devil. Okay? And it is what it is. You know, she don't, that's why a woman's not supposed to be in any form of power. 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse number 10, but which becometh woman professing godliness with good works, let the woman learn to silence with all subjection. But I suffer not a woman to teach, nor to usurp authority over the man, but to be in silence. So she's not supposed to be usurping authority over the man. Okay, according to the Bible. For Adam was first formed in Eve, and Adam was not deceived, but the woman being deceived was in the transgression. So just like Eve was able to deceive Adam, because she was listening to the serpent. And that's what she's trying to do. She's trying to sell you out to the serpent again. That's why you gotta have wisdom. Let's go to the book of Revelation, chapter 2, verse 9. And I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. So there's fake Jews, there's real Jews. Okay, you got to know who you are in this Bible. If you don't know your biblical identity, you're lost. According to Proverbs 21:16, you're in the congregation of the dead. And you need to know who Esau, Edom is, and Amalek for you to get a Revelation 2, verse 10, fear none of those things which thou shalt suffer, but behold, the devil shall come, shall cast some of you into prison, that ye may be tried, and ye shall have tribulation 10 days. Be thou faithful unto death, and I will give thee a crown of life. Okay, Yahweh shall crown you for standing 10 toes for him. Okay, being firm and trusting in him. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. He that overcometh shall not be hurt of the second death. And the second death is thermonuclear destruction, which a lot of people are going to take because Esau and his grandson Amalek are trying to get everyone to take the RFID microchip so they can rule perpetually down here on the earth. But the Lord's going to throw a wrench in their plans, and it's going to come to naught. Revelation 3, verse 9, behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee, just like he told you in Malachi 1 and 2. Okay, I have loved thee, saith the Lord. But thou sayest, wherein hast thou loved us? Is not, let's grab it. Esau, Jacob's brother, but I hated Esau. Malachi 1 and 2, I have loved you, saith the Lord, yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Jacob's brother, saith the Lord? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau, and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. So he ain't dealing with him. But Esau's in power right now. Okay, he's going to Micah the second chapter, man. He covers fields and takes them by violence, but he takes a man in his heritage, so he'll act like he's you in your land, stole your identity. Revelation 3:11, behold, I come quickly, hold that fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. Him that overcometh will I make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go no more out. And I will write upon him the name of my God and the name of the city of my God, which is New Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my God. And I will write upon him my new name. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. Okay, so Amalek ultimately, he wants to fight with you, man. Why? Because the Lord got smoke with Amalek from generation to generation. Exodus 17 verse 16, for he said, because the Lord have sworn that the Lord Yahweh will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. So they're fighting. You know, he's coming up against his children, because you can't do nothing to the Most High. The only thing you could do is come against his children, okay, that are here upon our earth, which are so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. But out of you, the remnant, the elect, is who he's going to try to make war with. And the dragon was wroth with the woman. The dragon is Esau. The woman is Israel. And went to make war with the remnant of her seed. So he's went to make war with the remnant, which are the elect of Israel, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach. So ultimately, the prophets who are teaching this word, Revelation, Amalek gonna make war, or Esau's gonna make war with you. That's ultimately who he wants to get, but he's going in a roundabout way. He's coming up against everybody else, but he wants to get you. Revelation 19:10, and I fell at his feet to worship him, and he said unto me, see thou do it not. I am thy fellow servant, and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahweh Shai. Worship God, for the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy. So that's the testimony, the spirit of prophecy. He wants to stop that. Okay, this is another video.
So number one, we measure and track.
Americans who criticize Jews and Israel will be monitored by the FBI. Check bank accounts.
So number one, we measure and track. Number two, we monitor and disrupt. We have a whole apparatus. I have 40 analysts working full time, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, monitoring extremists.
So there you go. And he determines who's an extremist. He determines who is what. Okay. But it goes to show you who has the power to do that. Who has the power to check your bank accounts and all of that shit. It's this man here. So you need to be careful. His tongue's falling upon himself. He got a short time to rule. Okay. I found this other video. There's some Black Panthers going around and doing this and that. Let me share this video.
I can hold my gun like this. It's the law. Philadelphia Crime Code 6108 says I can hold my long arm in my hand. Just can't have my finger on the trigger. So don't ask me to do nothing that's against the law. Can I help you? I'm out here minding my business. I'm out here to control and watch you. Anything else? Because you guys like beating up our teenagers. Somebody sent us a video of y'all beating up a teenager. About to say, y'all, wasn't it? Huh? Yeah, where's y'all? You a police officer?
He said someone sent us a video of you beating up a teenager.
You part of that. It was y'all. It was y'all. You don't like to be labeled in with slave catchers. You shouldn't have taken that oath, sellout. You are a sellout. You wearing this. You are a sellout. You ain't protected. You got to do whatever they tell you to, including hurting your people. Because you walking up to me and I don't like you and I don't trust you and I don't got no conversation with you. So unless you're investigating the crime, leave me the alone. I don't care. I got a gun license right here. This is legal. Philadelphia Crime Code 6108. Move your car out of people's way and get the out of my face. Thank you, officer.
Have a good day.
You have a bad one. Sell out. You smiling for a sellout? Do you know where you came from? Slave catchers hired you to help catch their property, which was us. Slave catchers controls the origin of that cash. Get out of here. Go where you're needed. We don't need your help. Get out the street. Like your supervisor said, get out the street. Get out the street. Go with him. Go with him. Get out the street. You blocking traffic. Get out the street. Get out the street. Thought you was going to disarm somebody?
In Philadelphia,
So there you go. So that's what's the type of spirits that are out here that we got to be aware of. It's the book of Acts chapter 5. You got to watch who you follow. If you ain't following Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, it's going to cost you your life. Acts 5:33. When they heard that, they were cut to the heart and took counsel to slay them. Then stood there up one in the council, a Pharisee named Gamaliel, a doctor of the law, had in reputation among all the people, and commanded to put the apostles forth a little space, and said unto them, Ye men of Israel, take heed to yourselves what ye intend to do as touching these men. For before these days rose up Theodotus, boasting himself to be somebody, to whom a number of men, about 400, joined themselves, who was slain, and all as many as obeyed him were scattered and brought to naught. So this guy that Gamaliel's given as an example of someone that you shouldn't follow. And it says, to whom a number of men, about 400, joined themselves. So 400 men joined this dude named Theodotus, who was slain. So you got to watch who you following, man. You following people like that, they going to get you put to death. After this man rose up, Judas of Galilee, in the days of taxing. And taxing right now, we're going through the same type of things. You got people who are saying they don't want to pay their taxes anymore because of, all this crazy stuff. And drew away much people after him. He also perished, and all, even as many as obeyed him, were dispersed. So you got to watch who you're following. And now I say unto you, refrain from these men and let them alone, for if this counsel or this work be of men, it will come to naught. And the Black Panthers, they already came to naught. That's Esau, he done already infiltrated that shit, fucked it all up, had all types of informants, got mad people killed and locked up and dismantled that thing. Acts 5 verse 39, but if it be of God, ye cannot overthrow it, lest happily ye be found even to fight against God. So you got to refrain from these men. Okay. These different types of groups. It tells you in the book of Romans, the 13th chapter. You're not supposed to be out here with swords and with guns and just acting like you ain't using your wisdom. Romans 13:1, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of God. The powers that be are ordained of God. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power resisteth the ordinance of God, and they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. For rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. So you don't want to be resisting the power, even though he might be legally got a gun, you legally doing everything by the book, but you're not being blameless. Like it tells you to be in 2 Peter 3 and 14. Let's grab that. You got to be blameless, man. And just because you got your paperwork, you don't need to be in any police officer's face. What are you just on the block with guns? Like you're making yourself pretty much a target. 2 Peter 3 verse 14. Wherefore, beloved, seeing that ye look for such things, talking about a new heaven and a new earth, be diligent that ye may be found of him in peace, without spot and blameless. Talking about Yahushua. Okay, when he returns, you want to be found without spot and blameless. But doing acts like that, they already came to naught. So if you ain't operating in this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, you're prone to get seduced by one of these spirits. Okay, you want to be without spot and blameless, because that's what they said the elect would be in Revelation chapter 14 verse 1. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their forehead, so that the elect would know, the 144,000, and the remnant would know the name of the Lord, which is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. That would be in your mind. You wouldn't, a lot of people don't know the names. And I heard a voice from heaven as the voice of many waters and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers harping with their harps. And they sung, as it were, a new song before the throne and before the four beasts and the elders. And no man could learn that song but the 144,000 which were redeemed from the earth. These are they which were not defiled with women, talking about different doctrines. Different philosophies, different organizations. Okay, for they are virgins. Okay, meaning they're pure, they're unmarried. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. So they're following the Lamb. How do you follow the Lamb? Well, you hear the Lamb from which he speaks, according to John 10:27 and 28. You're going to be listening to the words of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. You're going to know this is the way, I'm going to walk in it. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto God and to the Lamb. So these virgins are men. When you look into it, and when you look into that word virgins, okay. Romans 13:4, for he is the minister of God to thee for good, going into the government of the people who are those officers in this example. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, for he beareth not the sword in vain. Yeah, if you're doing that which is evil, that's why he carries a gun. But the Lord set him up to be in that position, for he is the minister of God, a revenger to execute wrath upon him that doeth evil. Ultimately, the so-called white man is that. He's the Lord's whipping stick. Okay, so you don't want to be in a position of being put in these situations, because Esau will set these situations up. He's the snare, the fowler. So he'll set people like that, and it be a whole damn CIA op, and somehow, some way, you get put to death. And a lot of people are gonna gather under somebody like that because they see, all right, well, look, he can get police away from him, But it already came to naught. Now he's coming out, doing all this rhetoric. You got the ADL. I just shared some of his video, saying that he's monitoring extremists. That people like that, they're gonna be destroyed. Romans 13:5. Wherefore ye must needs be subject, not only for wrath, but for the conscience sake, but also for conscience sake. So for your mind, if you're doing evil things, selling drugs, being gang banging, whatever you're doing, breaking the law, then you're not going to be right consciously. You're always going to be looking over your back. For this cause pay ye tribute also, talking about taxes, for they are God's ministers, attending continually upon this very thing. Render therefore to all their dues, render therefore to all their dues, tribute to whom tribute is due, custom to whom custom, fair to whom fair, honor to whom honor. So that's how you're supposed to be acting. Now running into joining groups like this. It tells you in the book of Ezekiel, the 37th chapter, that, let me jump down, Ezekiel 37:8, and when I beheld, lo, the sinews and the flesh came up upon them, and the skin covered them above, but there was no breath in them. So what's going on is, some of these people know they're Israel, and there was a time where, people woke up to the fact that, okay, this nigga Esau, he's the devil, So you had these groups gathering together, but it wasn't under the banner of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, so it came to naught, just like Gamaliel said. If this council be of men, it will come to naught, but if it be of God, you find yourself fighting up against the Most High. And that's the same thing that's going on today. But they don't have the breath in them. If you're doing things like that, it's because you don't have any wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Ezekiel 37:10, so I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived and stood upon their feet, an exceeding great army. So the ones who live are the elect, who get this breath. This breath is according to John 6 and John 6 and 63, I think. It is the spirit that quickeneth, the flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. So that life is what enters into you when you have this word. But they don't have life in them, so they're walking in the congregation of the dead, according to Proverbs 21 and verse number 16. The man that wandereth out of the way of understanding shall remain in the congregation of the dead. So I bring that out to say they didn't have any breath in them. And that counsel is going to come to naught again, especially in these last days, if you didn't learn from, their past works. They came to naught. They were infiltrated. Now this random guy comes out. Now the Black Panthers on the scene all of a sudden. You got to watch out for these different spirits. If you're not standing on Yahweh Shai, you're prone to be seduced. When it tells you the elect were not defiled with women. Not meaning they're really virgins. The women are likened unto different philosophies. Let me grab this other precept, Ecclesiasticus, chapter 9, verse 13. Keep thee far from the men that have power to kill, so shalt thou not doubt the fear of death. And if thou come unto him, make no fault, lest he take away thy life presently. Remember that thou goest in the midst of snares, and that thou walkest upon the battlements of the city. So you're in the midst of snares. There's traps. You're an enemy behind enemy lines. Okay, and you want to keep far from the man that have power to kill. He got a badge and a gun, and you're standing in front of him with your gun. And then you're causing other people to think, "Oh, we should do the same thing." That's not the way you want to go. Okay. It says millions ready to fight. Cuba's Diaz-Canel issues dire warning to the U.S. Cuban President Miguel Diaz-Canel warned Friday that if the United States attacks Cuba, the nation's armed forces and millions of citizens are ready to fight with the same unity shown by the 32 Cuban soldiers killed in Venezuela during U.S. military operations. Speaking at the March of the Combatant People in Havana, Diaz-Canel condemned U.S. threats and called the fallen soldiers heroes. While open to dialogue, he stressed that Cuba will fiercely resist any aggression and declared that even if the U.S. attempted to erase the island, it would be forever haunted by its defiance. Let's watch a little bit of this.
Familiares.
Family, friends, bombs, and kidnapping were the response of the United States to the declarations of the Venezuelan president, which hours before had been shown willing to dialogue about any matter. Talking about Maduro. He was telling them he didn't want any war. You could come in and take the oil. He was willing to dialogue, and I saw news on that too.
Bombas y secuestro fueron la respuesta de Estados Unidos a las declaraciones del presidente venezolano que horas antes se había mostrado dispuesto a dialogar sobre cualquier asunto.
As for the United States, it seems to be in danger of plaguing the America of miseries.
En cuanto a que los Estados Unidos parecen a plagar la América de miseria.
But anyways, they said they're ready to fight, but you gonna be ready to die if you ain't got them with you, all right? You don't want to be caught up in these wars, man. You want to be caught up with the Lord, all right? I forgot where I found it. Yeah, because if you I watched this video here. We'll play a little bit of this. This is what that supersonic weapon did when Duck sent his military in to get Venezuelan President Maduro.
Did the U.S. military deploy a secret sonic weapon during the raid in Venezuela? According to witnesses on the ground, the operation began with an unexplained radar blackout, followed massive drone swarm and the sounds of helicopters. Despite being outnumbered 5-1, the small U.S. Special Forces team faced less resistance. Why? Reports indicate soldiers suffered from vertigo, vomiting, and internal bleeding. Military analysts believe this was a soft kill operation, likely utilizing a high-power microwave device.
So here you go, man. How you gonna fight against that, man? You better have the right equipment. He only needed it was 5-1. So they had 100. He had 5. Or something like that. 5-1. So no, I think he had 20-100, something like that. And that just goes to show you that you having 1 million people that shit don't mean nothing. That's ready to fight. Those 32 Cubans were ready to fight too, and this is what happened to them. The warfare is different now. Okay, we need to be seeking the Lord, and if you want to join groups with the Black Panthers, what are you going to do when you get hit with a sonic weapon? Showing you that, those weapons ain't going to do anything for you, man. All right? This is your weapon is the Lord. 2 Corinthians 13. And 13:5. Examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know ye not your own selves how that Yahweh Shai Mashiach is in you, except ye be reprobates. Yeah, you don't want to be. Examine yourself, man. Whether you be in the faith, you got to know what you're supposed to be doing in these last days. And that doesn't mean that you can't have a sword. If the Lord put that on your spirit to have a sword, hey, then it's not unlawful to have a sword, but you got to understand that the Lord's going to be fighting this battle. He's the one that's getting all the victory, all the praise for getting the victory. All right. I found this video. Mark Carney, Canada is forging a new strategic partner with China.
Canada has agreed to allow up to 49,000 Chinese electric vehicles into the Canadian market, with the most favored nation tariff rate of 6.1%. This is a return to the levels that existed prior to recent trade frictions. But it's a return under an agreement that promises much more for Canadians. It's expected that within 3 years, this agreement will drive considerable Chinese investment in Canada's auto sector, creating good careers in Canada and accelerating our progress towards a net zero future and the auto industry of the future. Canada can thrive in a new system, but to do so, we must be ambitious. We must work at speed and scale to find new partners, to diversify our trade and attract unprecedented levels of investment in our country. And we must be pragmatic. That means we have to understand the differences between Canada and other countries, and then focus our efforts to work together where we're aligned. And it's with this approach that Canada is forging a new strategic partnership with China.
See? So you worry about Greenland, and you got the Canadian border you got to worry about. Okay, and that's Moab. Psalm 60:8. Moab is my washpot. Over Edom will I cast out my shoe. Philistia triumphed thou because of me. So Moab is the Lord's washpot. He's using him to clean out America, economically. Okay, over Edom will I cast out my shoe. So there's going to be a transfer of power. Philistia triumphed thou because of me. So Esau is not going to win this economic war or the trade war with China. Okay, Lord got Moab for that. He got Russia for the nuclear stuff, and he got the prophets for the religious stuff. Okay, and he's losing on all fronts. Philistia triumphed out because of me. So the Lord's giving the heathen the victory. Okay, he's the one who determines who wins and who loses. So Esau he ain't getting no W. All right. You see Mark Carney, he talking about that. Meanwhile, it says by Eric Doherty, massive amounts of Albertans just formed a huge line to sign a petition to secede from Canada, or potentially become the 51st state after gaining independence.
Edmonton is showing up. Just goes on and on.
So it's just a long list of people waiting in line to sign a petition to pretty much leave, be the 51st state of America. But he's trying to, Carney's trying to get, what's his name? Is it Carney? Mark Carney's trying to get Canada on board with China, which is probably better for him economically, doing trade with other countries. But Esau is Satan casting out Satan. So whether you either be on board with Donald Duck or succeed and be with the rest, and then you have an internal conflict. But there's probably a bunch of people within the country that want cheaper goods, that want better prices and things like that. But you got to mess with these other nations and duck. So there's a divide even on the other side of Canada. And if they destabilize, that's going to affect you too. You know, and you worried about Greenland, he's meddling in a lot of different matters that are going to cause an uproar of the people in a bunch of different places. So he's causing a bunch of different, you know, Greenland, Canada, Mexico, Venezuela, Cuba, you know, Ukraine, Russia, China. Everyone's mad. Okay. I'm going to end it on this. Jeremiah 51. In verse 6, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul, be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. Her is talking about Babylon. Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. They're mad because they're starting to wake up to all the bullshit that he's doing. Okay, that's why you got Denmark and Greenland. They're starting to send more troops over to that area. Here it is. Mark Carney's talking about doing trade with China in order to get 49,000 cars and stuff like that. They got to ship that to you. You're gonna mess up trade routes. It has to go through international waters, and he's trying to. So he's saying something more politically. You know, he's aligning himself with U.S. enemies to do trade. And he's saying he wants to put more pressure, more tariffs on different people. So how are you going to make any money? You know, a lot of this, it ain't making any sense. So you can just tell what's coming down the pike, down the road. Jeremiah 51:8, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so be, she may be healed. You can't heal this place. Tariffs ain't going to heal this place. Sanctions, nothing's going to heal this place. It's going to continually get worse and worse, and we have to prepare ourselves for it. Jeremiah 51:9, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the sky. So the different sins that this place has done is increasing to the point where the Lord's going to judge this place, and we're at that point where we're seeing uproars of the people, different wars kicking off, the economy breaking down, and it's just going to continue. But I'm in the here, Lord's will. This was edifying. Shalom.